My name is Anna Lee. I had a secret that I never told my classmates. I wanted a scholarship. I worked with a tutor. I studied for every exam. I felt alone in school. My classmate May smiled, but I felt a bully at times. I thought May wanted my spot. I was afraid of the principal and detention for lying. But one day I found a note on my desk. The note said a harsh word and a hidden truth. Who wrote it? I felt betrayed and scared. I read the note again and again. Suddenly the corridor felt cold. I did not know who to trust. I kept the secret in my pocket. I walked to the library and I sat down. I wanted help. I wanted to speak. However, the secret grew bigger. I could not sleep that night. I had to decide what to do next. My name is Anna Lee, and I will tell this story in simple words. I wanted the scholarship that stops my worry at home. I wanted to go to university. I studied in class. I read after school with a tutor. I practiced listening and reading. I felt tired many nights. I had a quiet life. My classmate May was bright and kind. But another boy, Tom, could be a bully. He laughed in the hall. He pushed papers from desks. I feared him. One morning I found a note on my desk. The note had only a few words. It said, "You cheat." I was shocked. I had never cheated on an exam. I thought of the exam the week before. I thought of the principal and detention. My heart beat fast. I showed the note to my tutor. She said, "We must find who wrote this." I wanted to trust the tutor. She helped me write a plan. We would watch the classroom at lunch. We would ask the principal for a talk. We would ask kind classmates if they saw anything. I spoke to May in the corridor. She smiled and said, "I can help." I felt a small hope. At lunch, we sat near the door. We watched the classmate who sat near my desk. Tom walked by and his face went white. He held a paper. May looked at Tom and said nothing. I wanted to ask him. My palms were wet. The tutor said quietly, "Wait. Do not accuse yet." We watched Tom put his hand in his pocket. He left the room fast. I felt the scene was strange. The next day, the principal called me to his office. He asked me about the note and the exam. I tried to explain. I said I did not cheat. My voice was small. The principal looked serious. He would check the exam papers. He would speak to Tom and May. I walked out and felt alone again. I wanted truth. I wanted to know who betrayed me. The tutor squeezed my hand. She said, "We will find the truth." I kept the note in my bag. I read it when I sat under the old tree. A small wind moved the leaves. I thought of prom and graduation. I thought of the scholarship exam. I knew everything was at risk. I made a quiet promise to myself. I would not give up. But I also did not know that this small note would change my life like a wave. The scene ends with a new secret in my pocket. I had to follow it. The day after the principal talk, the school felt heavy. I arrived for another exam. I felt the eyes of my classmate. I felt the bully's breath near my desk. Tom sat behind me. He tapped his pencil. I could hear my heart. The exam paper looked simple, but my hands shook. I wrote slowly. I remembered each lesson from the tutor. I thought of the scholarship. I thought, if I fail, I will not get help at home. I tried to focus. After the exam, the principal called May and me to his office. He asked us to sit. The room was small and bright. He showed us a photo from the camera. The photo had a shadow near my desk. The principal asked, "Do you know who was there?" May looked down. Tom's name came up in the talk. The principal said, "Someone put a note on your desk. It said you cheat." I breathed fast. I said, "I did not cheat." May said, "I did not see who wrote it." Tom said nothing. Then a classmate, Luis, came in. He said, "I saw Tom drop a paper by Anna's desk." Tom stood up. He looked angry. He said, "I put the paper down, but I did not write the note." The principal looked at Tom and said, "Why did you do that?" Tom said, "I wanted to scare her. She is always first in class. I wanted to see her weak side." I felt like someone hit my chest. I felt betrayed by the school air. The bully told the principal he wanted to be valedictorian next year. He wanted the teacher's praise. He wanted the scholarship too. The principal asked, "Did you lie?" Tom said, "I only wanted to scare. I did not think it would go this far." The tutor held my hand. She whispered, "Stay calm." The principal decided to give Tom detention. He would speak with his parents. But the note was still a secret. No one knew who wrote it with real words. The principal said he would watch the school cameras more. He said he would not give the scholarship to anyone yet. I felt the world stop. That night, I lay on my bed and I saw memories. I saw prom posters, graduation smiles, and the old friend who helped me in math. I thought about the bully and the classmate who wanted the same prize. I thought about the tutor who stayed late with me. I thought about the possibility that May might know more. I sent May a message. She wrote, "Meet me by the music room now." I ran to the music room. The door was open. May sat on the floor with papers. She looked tired and sad. She said, "I found this in my locker." She held a small paper with my name. It had the same words. I asked, "Who else saw it?" May said, "Luis saw Tom drop a paper." But Luis did not see the writing. May had a quiet voice. She said, "I think someone else wrote the note. Someone who wants trouble between us." I sat down hard. The music from the room felt soft and slow. I asked, "Who could want that?" May looked at me with wet eyes. She said, "Maybe the scholarship created a fight. Maybe someone is afraid of losing you and wants to push you out." I touched the paper. My fingers felt the crease. I had a new fear. I knew the school had many small fights. I knew prom and graduation could show the truth. I knew the exam was not the end. I knew I must watch again. The plan grew. We would talk to more classmates. We would ask about detention. We would look for the writer. I felt the change begin inside me. I felt stronger but tired. The next day was another exam day and another small test of friendship. The story moves toward a secret that will bring us full circle. The weeks went by. The principal watched the cameras. Tom served detention for a week. He looked different. He stopped laughing in class. May helped me study for the next exam. The tutor stayed late to help with math and English. I practiced with the tutor in the empty classroom. The school felt like a stage before prom. The scholarship decision was near. The principal called a meeting with the senior class. He said he wanted truth before he chose a scholarship winner. The room was full. The valedictorian work and the exam results were on a board. The principal asked if anyone had new information about the note. A quiet voice came from the back. It was Luis. He stood up and said, "I saw someone near Anna's desk that day." It was not Tom. It was Ms. Green, the new tutor for many students. The room went silent. Ms. Green was a popular tutor. She helped many students, including the bully Tom. Ms. Green walked to the front. She looked surprised and hurt. She said, "I was by Anna's desk that day. I moved a paper for a student. I did not write any note." The principal checked the camera again. The tape moved slow. The camera showed a figure with a hood near my desk. The figure's face was not clear. But the figure left a small scrap on the floor. The scrap had words that matched the note. The principal called for the scrap to be examined. The teacher who led the prom committee found a small handwriting on the scrap. It matched a student who sat by the music room. The teacher named Sarah. Sarah was quiet and shy. She often sat alone. She liked to be alone before graduation. The room looked at Sarah. She stood up and her hands shook. She said, "I wrote that note. I am sorry." The world around me felt both heavy and light. I did not want Sarah to cry. I wanted to scream. Sarah said, "I was jealous. I thought Anna would take the scholarship and leave me behind. I saw Anna get help from a tutor. I felt small. I wanted to scare her away. I did not know it would hurt so much." She covered her face. May stepped forward and said, "We are all students. We all feel fear. But we must learn to speak. We must not hurt each other." The principal asked Sarah to meet with him and her parents. He asked the class to stay calm. I felt many things. I felt anger at first. Then I felt a strange calm. Sarah had been a classmate who rarely spoke. She had never been in detention. She had never tried for scholarship. She wanted a chance to belong. I thought of school life. I thought of prom and graduation. I thought of how small fights grow. I walked to Sarah and I sat near her. I said, "I forgive you." Her eyes widened. She whispered, "Why?" I said, "I was scared too." We all are scared. I do not want to carry hate as I walk to graduation. That night, I studied for the last exam again. I spoke with the principal. He said he would look at all records for the scholarship. He said, "Your work matters, Anna. Your honesty matters." The tutor hugged me. May smiled. Tom said sorry and later helped me in class. The bully changed a little. He began to study with us. The circle closed slowly. I had a new place in the class. I was not perfect, but I was honest. The prom poster on the wall looked bright. The graduation day was near. I felt a change inside. I felt the story come full circle from fear to a quiet new trust. I walked under the corridor lights and I felt ready for the next step. I learned many things in this story. I learned that a small secret can grow into a big problem. I learned that anger and jealousy make us do wrong things. I learned that the school offers help, like a tutor and a principal who listens. I learned that a bully can change if someone gives them a chance. Most of all, I learned that honesty helps me move forward. I kept studying after the trouble. I passed the final exam. I did not get everything at once. The principal gave a fair decision. Sarah met with a counselor. Tom did detention and then studied hard. May and I became close friends. On graduation day, I stood on the stage with other classmates. The principal named the scholarship winner. I did not win the biggest prize, but I won a small scholarship for honesty and hard work. The tutor clapped and the class smiled. I felt proud and calm. The story went full circle. I began with fear and a secret. I ended with truth and a new start. If you learn English with stories, remember this lesson. Tell the truth. Ask for help. Forgive when you can. Practice simple sentences every day. You will improve step by step. This story is for beginners. Use it to learn new words like exam, tutor, detention, principal, scholarship, bully, prom, graduation, classmate, valedictorian. Keep studying. Keep listening. Keep reading. Your English will grow, and your life can change too.